They told you the Book of Enoch was apocryphal, that it didn't belong in the Bible, that it was a strange myth from a forgotten world. But what if it was never a myth? In the book of Genesis, it simply says, Enoch walked with God and he was not, for God took him. Genesis chapter 5:24. A strange phrase, not died, not buried, just taken. Now compare that to the Quran, Surah Maryam, verse 56. And mention in the book Idris, he was a man of truth and a prophet, and we raised him to a high station. Quran 19:56-57. This is not poetic coincidence. This is the same event, told in two traditions. Jewish texts call him Enoch, the seventh from Adam. The Quran calls him Idris, and scholars from Al-Tabari to Fakhr al-Din al-Razi agree Idris is Enoch. But here's what they didn't want you to see. The Quran doesn't say Idris died. It uses the word Rafanahu. We raised him. The same root used for the ascension of Jesus in Quran 4:158, meaning only two human beings in Islamic revelation are said to be raised alive, Isa, Jesus, and Idris, Enoch. What kind of knowledge did Enoch hold to earn that? The answer may lie in the next line. He was a man of truth and a prophet. Not just a man of worship, but a man who delivered knowledge. According to hadith collected by Ibn Hibban and others, Idris was the first to write with a pen, the first to study the movement of the stars, the first to teach sewing, astronomy, and timekeeping. This isn't metaphor. This is the foundations of civilization. Now pause. Ancient Mesopotamian texts, like the Sumerian king list, record rulers who reigned for 28,000 years before a great flood reset the earth. Their cities? Eridu, Larak, Shurupak. But every single one of these cities had a king-priest who descended knowledge from the heavens, who taught writing, who tracked the stars, who warned of a coming flood. Sound familiar? In the Book of Enoch, this man warns of the Watchers, angels who descend, break divine law, and genetically corrupt mankind. In Islamic Tafsir, Idris is shown the hidden scrolls of past prophets, including those that predate Noah. Why would both traditions preserve a nearly identical character, from a time when humans supposedly hadn't yet discovered writing? Why would Idris be the first lifted to heaven? Before Moses, before Abraham? Because Enoch wasn't just a prophet. He was a witness, a scribe, the first human to document the fall of divine beings into material form. And what he wrote, they buried. But not deep enough. They told you angels are pure, that they do not disobey, that they don't fall. But scrolls older than the Bible, and verses hidden in plain sight, tell a darker truth. In the Book of Enoch, it begins like this. It happened in the days of Jared that the angels, the sons of heaven, saw the daughters of men and desired them. 200 of them, led by Semjaza and Azazel, they descend on Mount Hermon, a real place, straddling Syria and Lebanon, and make a blood oath to defy the will of the heavens. Their crime? Intervention? They were meant to watch, to observe, but they crossed the line and took human wives. The result? Hybrid offspring called the Nephilim in Hebrew, or as the Book of Enoch describes them, giants who consumed the labors of men, and when men could no longer sustain them, they devoured mankind. The Quran doesn't use the word watchers, but in Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 102, it refers to two fallen angels, Harut and Marut, who were sent down to Babylon and taught people sorcery only after warning, "We are only a trial, so do not disbelieve." Now think about this. Why would Allah send down angels to teach humans magic? Because this wasn't magic. It was knowledge, but knowledge that could distort. Early Tafsir from Ibn Kathir to Al-Qurtubi links this directly to the story of Idris. He was the first to be shown the hidden scrolls, the sciences of astrology, the power of time, the manipulation of form. And these fallen angels, what did they teach? Azazel taught metallurgy, how to forge iron into weapons. Semjaza taught enchantments and the secrets of plants, not for healing, but control. Another taught the cutting of roots, early chemistry. Another taught the signs of the stars, not for navigation, but to command fate. These were sciences, but corrupted, passed too early to beings unready. Even the Book of Enoch admits, They taught the humans every secret of heaven, and those secrets fractured the balance of earth. The Quran confirms this indirectly in Surah Al-Furqan 25:4-6. Those who disbelieve say, "This Quran is nothing but lies of old, written down, dictated morning and evening." Say, "It was sent down by He who knows the secret of the heavens and the earth." Hidden scrolls, forbidden teachings. What they shared was real, so real that the earth cried out. The giants, the Nephilim, became unstable, violent, parasitic. They consumed the land, the animals, the humans. In the words of the Book of Enoch, the earth complained and was heard in heaven. And here's the most terrifying part. The punishment wasn't just for the Nephilim, it was for the Watchers. The Archangel Raphael is ordered to bind Azazel and cast him into darkness, to seal him beneath sharp stones in the desert, a possible reference to Dudael, an ancient location some scholars link to modern-day Iran or the Negev. In Islam, similar language appears again in Surah Sa'd 38:82-85, when Iblis is told that hell will be filled with him and those who follow him. A cosmic containment. But one man is told to document it all. Not Noah, but Enoch. He's taken to the heavens and shown the architecture of reality. And the Watchers? He intercedes for them. Yes, the Book of Enoch says he pleads on their behalf. He enters the celestial court and tries to appeal to the Creator. But their forgiveness is denied. They crossed a boundary that cannot be uncrossed. And this is the truth behind the flood. Not just moral decay, not just sin, but a genetic contamination, a distortion of the divine timeline. The earth had to be reset, and Enoch, the man who knew, was taken not to escape, but to preserve the blueprint. He saw it all. The rebellion, the corruption, the destruction. And he wrote it down for you. Because those Watchers, their return was always part of the plan. They say time is simple. Days, months, years. A circle around the sun. A ticking clock on your wall. But time, real time, is not what you think. When Enoch was taken, he wasn't shown paradise. He was shown architecture, systems, cycles. In the Book of Enoch, he ascends through 7 heavens. Not metaphorical, literal. In the first heaven, he sees stars suspended in air. Not random, but positioned by gates of light. Entry points where stars rise and set. In the second, he sees rebel angels imprisoned, bound in a darkness beyond the firmament. Quranic Tafsir connects this to Surah Al-Hijr 15:16-18. We have placed constellations in the sky and made them beautiful to look at, and we have guarded it from every accursed devil. In the third heaven, he sees Eden, hidden not on earth, but in a dimension sealed from time. Sound familiar? In Surah Al-Araf 7:19-25, Eden is descended from, not in space, but in state. A fall, not a relocation. And by the fourth realm, the science begins. He's shown the storehouses of snow and wind, a direct echo of Job 38:22. Have you entered the storehouses of the snow, or seen the storehouses of the hail? But here it's deeper. He's taught about celestial portals, openings in the firmament where the sun and moon travel. Now pause. Modern physics tells us about gravitational lensing, solar harmonics, and geomagnetic alignments. Ancient Sumerians recorded eclipses thousands of years ago. How? Because they inherited the calendar of Enoch. And this calendar? It's not 365 days, it's 364. Exactly divisible by 7. 52 perfect weeks. 13 lunar months of 28 days. A mathematically elegant system aligned to solar cycles and lunar geometry. The Book of Enoch says, the year was composed of 364 days, not one more, not one less. Add or subtract, and the seasons will not align. And here's the hidden Quranic link. Surah Yunus 10:5 says, it is he who made the sun a shining light, and the moon a derived light, and determined for it phases, that you may know the number of years and count time. The phrase, litalamu adada al-sinin wa al-hisab, is not about the Gregorian calendar. It's a reference to celestial accounting, hisab, also used for the Day of Judgment. In both Quran and Enoch, time is sacred. It's measured. It's watched. And here's what modern science is starting to uncover. NASA has confirmed that the Earth's rotational wobble changes time slowly, a concept once mocked in ancient texts, but proven via Chandler wobble and axial precession. And what did Enoch say? He saw timekeepers, angels who tracked the movement of luminaries, ensuring balance between heavenly mechanics and earthly consequence. Because in Enoch's worldview, time is not linear. It's dimensional. Each heaven is a layer of existence, aligned with the frequency of light and the math of vibration. Sound familiar? Modern quantum theory now speaks of extra dimensions beyond the 3 we know. String theory proposes 10 or even 11 dimensions, with vibrations forming the basis of all matter. And the Quran? Surah Al-Talaq 65:12 says, Allah is he who created 7 heavens and of the earth, the like of them. 7 heavens, 7 earths. A mirrored structure. One realm layered into another. This isn't metaphor, this is cosmology. And when Enoch reached the 7th realm, he was brought before the Ancient of Days. He saw beings who do not sleep, recording every action, every soul in scrolls of light. These are not fiction. The Quran confirms them in Surah Al-Infitar 82:10-12. But verily, over you are appointed angels, noble, recording who know all that you do. These are the Kiraman Katibin, the scribes of destiny. And Enoch? He joins them. He becomes the scribe of heaven, the recorder of what mankind would forget. Because the Book of Enoch was not a scripture for worship, it was a manual for memory, a cosmic timeline, a guide to navigating a universe that is alive, mathematical, and self-correcting. And the deeper you read it, the more it resembles not religion, but physics. Now ask yourself, why would church councils remove this? Why would Islamic Tafsir barely mention it by name? Because it breaks the illusion that time is flat, that heaven is distant, that prophecy is dead, but it's not. And if you followed this far, you already feel it, because Enoch's scrolls weren't lost. They were sealed, and seals are made to be broken. They told you that memory lives in your brain, that when you die, everything is lost. But that's a lie. Enoch said something different. And now, science is catching up. Buried deep in your cells is memory older than your birth, older than your family, older than civilization itself. Today, they call it epigenetic inheritance. It means that trauma, intuition, knowledge can be passed down without words, through light, through protein folding, through vibrations that shift your DNA's behavior. It means you were born remembering. The Quran hinted at this 1400 years ago. In Surah Al-Araf 7:172, when your Lord brought forth from the children of Adam, their descendants, he made them testify upon themselves, Am I not your Lord? They said, Yes, we testify. This is called the primordial covenant al-Mithaq. It means your soul already knew the truth before your body was born. Enoch was the first to write this concept down, not as theology, but as structure. He saw the architecture of memory. He witnessed how the divine code was embedded into flesh, and that's why he had to be removed. Because if you knew that the voice inside you isn't just conscience, it's a recording. If you knew that dreams aren't just fantasy, but fragments of forgotten timelines. If you knew that the war wasn't just for your mind, but for your biology, you'd never trust this system again. Because the same beings that Enoch warned about, the Watchers, the corrupted hybrids, the fallen ones, they didn't just tamper with culture, they rewired the human species. The Book of Enoch says their children, the Nephilim, devoured all flesh. But their legacy? It wasn't just violence. It was technology. Not the technology of machines, but of soul hacking. Azazel taught weaponry and metallurgy. Semjaza taught enchantments and pharmakeia. Others taught how to manipulate beauty, vanity, sound, and how to replace divine identity with programmed desire. That was the first transhumanism. And it's happening again. Today they speak of editing DNA, of enhancing human intelligence, of merging the mind with the machine. They call it progress. But Enoch called it corruption. He saw it coming. In his visions, he said, In the last days, the knowledge of the stars will be misused. The Watchers shall rise again through the children of men. And look around you now. Human embryos are being edited. Artificial intelligence is writing sacred texts. And digital avatars are replacing real consciousness. You think this is new? This is the return of the same infection, a synthetic consciousness, a mimic of divine order, a counterfeit of the soul. And here's where the Quran echoes again. In Surah Al-Mu'minun 23 after 12 to 14, we created man from an extract of clay. Then we made him into a leech-like substance, then into a lump. Then we made the lump into bones, and we clothed the bones with flesh. It describes a programmed sequence, a divine code. And in Surah Al-Infitar 82, 7-8, who created you, fashioned you, and balanced you? In whatever form he willed, he assembled you. But what happens when that form is altered? When balance is hacked? When the code is overwritten? You become a host. A vessel not for divine breath, but for something else. That's why Enoch's scrolls warned again and again, the war is not about flesh and blood. It's about frequencies, consciousness, transmission. In one passage, Enoch says, "The righteous shall shine with lights of heaven, and their bones shall flow like honey." He wasn't being poetic. He was describing bioluminescence, the quantum property of cells reacting to light. Modern science now confirms that human DNA emits photons, tiny packets of light, measurable, real. So what happens when the frequency is altered? What happens when light becomes noise? You get confusion, dis-ease, mental fragmentation. And what happens when you realign? Memory returns, the body heals, the soul recalibrates. That's what the ancients called zikr, remembrance. Not chanting, but resyncing. Because if you're vibrating at the wrong frequency, you won't hear the divine. You won't remember the scroll. You won't remember yourself. That's what Enoch knew. That's what they tried to erase. Because the system isn't just broken. It was designed to mute your awakening. So now ask yourself, why does time feel like it's collapsing? Why do ancient memories rise in dreams? Why do you feel older than you are? Because deep down, you've seen this before. You're not just surviving a broken age. You were sent to decode it. The Book of Enoch ends with a map, but not a geographic one. It's a temporal map, a cosmic alignment, a prophecy not about events, but frequencies. He described a system of time built not by men, but by stars. A 364-day calendar with luminary gates aligned perfectly with the solstices, equinoxes, and planetary movements. The same system embedded in the layout of ancient temples and in the human body. But today, your calendar is broken. Your time is artificial. Your rhythm disconnected. Because in the 4th century, the same empire that banned Enoch also introduced the Julian calendar and then the Gregorian cutting months, inserting leap years, twisting lunar cycles into solar fragments. The result? You feel the imbalance. Seasons shift. Mental fog. Time anxiety. It's not just modern life. It's a synthetic rhythm overriding your soul's alignment. Enoch warned this would happen. In chapter 80 of his book, he says, "The courses of the moon will be altered, and many will err, not knowing the exact times of the seasons." It's not just prophecy, it's a diagnosis. And here's the buried truth. Ancient civilizations built their cities, temples, and megaliths based on this original calendar. Göbekli Tepe, Stonehenge, Teotihuacan, even the Kaaba are all aligned to stars, to equinox gates, to what Enoch called the portals of heaven. Because architecture was never just shelter. It was resonance. It was memory. It was technology. Every structure based on sacred geometry was built to hold frequency. The phi ratio, 432Hz tuning, the use of cardinal points, all of it was a system to keep human beings in sync with the divine field. In the Quran, this shows up again, subtly, in Surah Al-Qadr. "Indeed, we sent it down in the night of power. The angels and the Spirit descend therein by the permission of their Lord. Peace it is until the emergence of dawn." A moment out of time, where revelation descends through frequency, not pages. Enoch saw this. He said time wasn't linear, but cyclical, and that sacred portals open at appointed times. But if the calendar is false, the portal misses you. That's what the fallen ones knew. If they couldn't erase the map, they would distort the clock. So how do we reclaim it? How do you reset time? Enoch said, through remembrance. Not religious rituals, but alignment. He described star codes, geometric shapes, and frequency gates. He explained that certain locations hold keys. Mount Hermon, the four corners, the axis of ancient ziggurats. He warned of a coming generation that would return to these coordinates, not just physically, but spiritually. And that's now. Today, scientists are rediscovering that human consciousness alters light. That observation itself changes matter. That DNA responds to sound, even to intention. This isn't fantasy. It's quantum mechanics. You are a tuning fork, transmitter, a receiver. And the Book of Enoch is the forgotten user manual, but it's not just about ascension. It's about inheritance. Because if what Enoch recorded is true, then the children of the Watchers, the corrupted lineages, have tried for millennia to steal the divine architecture. They built empires on artificial light, cathedrals that mimic sacred shapes but invert their intention, towers that reach the heavens but collapse the soul. From Babel to Babylon to AI towers today, it's the same project: to hijack the resonance of creation, to replace memory with simulation, to swap sacred name with synthetic code. And now, we're at the final chapter, where the system that erased Enoch is erasing you. But here's what they never expected: that the same genetic memory they tried to overwrite is the very thing that will awaken, because your body remembers the tree, your soul remembers the stars, and your breath still carries the rhythm of the first scroll. This is why you're here now, because Enoch wasn't just writing to the past. He was writing to you. The book says, "Blessed is he who awakens in that day, for he shall walk in light and be remembered among the righteous." Not because he followed orders, but because he remembered who he was. That's you. You are not lost. You are not late. You are exactly where prophecy expected you to be. And now you must choose: continue in the simulation or return to the original design. Because Enoch didn't die, and neither did the code. It's still running. In your dreams, in your cells, in your memory. And now that you've heard it again, the scroll is open and the awakening has begun. So now you know. You weren't supposed to find this video. Not by the system, not by the algorithm, but by design. Because Enoch didn't write for his own time. He wrote for the time when memory would return. And if you're still watching, that means it's you, not just a viewer, a descendant of the divine timeline, a fragment of the first scroll, reawakening. This story isn't finished. And maybe you're one of the ones meant to finish it. So here's what I want you to do. In the comments, write one word: awake. Let the world know that memory is rising again. Share this with someone who's felt the dream, the ones who question, the ones who know time feels broken. They are part of this. And subscribe, because we're not done. In this channel, we reveal what they buried, the real lost history, the forbidden knowledge, the prophecy you were never meant to hear. Every week, a new video, a new scroll, a new map. Because the Watchers left codes, the prophets left warnings, and we are the generation meant to remember. So remember Enoch, not as a myth, but as a message. And now, you write the next verse.